There is a moment that almost every estranged parent reaches. A moment when the pain shifts from confusion to urgency. You begin to think, if I could just explain myself clearly enough, they would finally understand. You replay old conversations. You revisit decisions from decades ago. You analyze tone, timing, word choice. You convince yourself that clarity will create reconciliation, that understanding will restore connection. So you begin explaining. Section 1. The careful explanation phase. You don't rush. You soften your language. You remove anything that could sound defensive. You take responsibility, sometimes for things that were never yours. You explain your intentions. You explain the pressure you were under. You explain what you meant, not just what was heard. You tell yourself, if they can just see my heart, and then silence. Or worse, a response that feels colder than before. New accusations, stronger certainty, more distance. This is where many parents begin to blame themselves. Section 2. The first illusion you must let go of. Here is the hard truth, and it hurts because it feels unfair. Explaining yourself assumes that the other person is seeking understanding, but estrangement is rarely built on misunderstanding. It is built on resolution, a resolution that has already been reached. Your child has already decided who you are in the story, and explanations don't function the way you think they do. Section 3. Why explanations feel threatening. To a parent, an explanation feels like peacemaking. To an estranged child, it often feels like destabilization. Because their emotional balance depends on a fixed narrative. A narrative where they were wronged, they were unheard, they were harmed, and you are the cause. When you explain yourself calmly, you introduce complexity, and complexity threatens certainty. Certainty is what keeps their emotional structure intact. So the explanation must be rejected, not analyzed, not debated, rejected. Section 4. Why logic has no power here. Parents often approach estrangement like a misunderstanding to be resolved. If I clarify the timeline, if I explain what I was dealing with, if I show consistency. But estrangement does not live in logic. It lives in emotion, identity, and grievance. You are not arguing facts. You are challenging a role someone has emotionally settled into, and that role comes with benefits. Section 5. The hidden rewards of estrangement. This is uncomfortable to hear, but necessary. Estrangement can provide moral authority, social validation, sympathy without accountability, sometimes even a sense of purpose. When you explain yourself, you don't bring peace. You threaten the reward system, so the system pushes back harder. Section 6. How every explanation becomes evidence against you. This is one of the most painful realizations for parents. Every explanation, no matter how gentle, is reframed. Clarifying becomes defensiveness. Context becomes excuses. Emotion becomes manipulation. Even accountability can be labeled as insincere. The explanation itself is no longer content, it is intent, and intent is assumed to be malicious. Section 7. The trap of endless self-revision. Many parents respond by refining themselves. They explain better, apologize more carefully, shorten messages. They read books, watch videos, seek therapy, all in the hope that the next explanation will finally land. But here is the truth. If explanations worked, they would have worked by now. Section 8. The power shift you didn't see happening. Estrangement quietly reverses roles. The child becomes the evaluator, the judge, the gatekeeper of contact, and the parent becomes the applicant. Explaining yourself reinforces this imbalance. It says, I must justify my existence in your life. That posture erodes dignity, and dignity is something you cannot afford to lose. Section 9. Why silence feels so wrong to parents. Parents are conditioned to repair, to explain, to soothe, to fix. Silence feels like abandonment, but silence is not neglect. Silence is the refusal to keep feeding a system that only consumes. Section 10. What actually communicates strength? Estranged children rarely respond to explanations, but they do notice something else: consistency. Emotional restraint, stability over time. When you stop explaining, you stop chasing approval, you stop auditioning for fairness, and something subtle happens. The narrative loses energy when it no longer gets reaction. Section 11. A truth most parents never hear. You cannot explain someone out of a position they benefit from holding. That does not mean they will never return. It means the return, if it happens, will not be triggered by explanation. Section 12. The quiet reframe. Instead of asking, "How can I explain myself better?" ask, "Why am I still trying to convince someone who has already decided who I am?" That question restores clarity. Closing reflection. Calm dignity does not argue. It does not beg. It does not perform remorse endlessly. Calm dignity stands still while others demand motion. And in that stillness, something important returns: your center, your self-respect, your peace. If this reflection resonated with you, there are more conversations ahead. In the next video, we'll explore why guilt is often the strongest chain keeping parents emotionally trapped in estrangement. Until then, hold your ground quietly. That too is love.